Hello everybody, my name is CosmicComs and welcome back to another video on the CosmicComs Inc. channel where we are sort of doing a reaction video this time. So I saw this video on my recommended and it's titled FNAF The Secret of the Mimic is a badly made game. Whether or not, I haven't watched this yet, but I've seen people talking about it on like Twitter and they're like, this video isn't that great or the points in it weren't that great, so I thought why not just come and check and, just see, is this a, I guess, genuinely, good feedback on the game, whether or not, because I personally thought it was actually great. But this is a video by Mod Walker. I'll put it in link in the description if you want to see for yourselves. And okay, the description, I'm pretty sure they just copied the game description, but okay, cool. So starting off, let's just see what they have to say.
What's up everybody, Modwork here, and today we're going to talk about FNAF The Secret of the Mimic. It's a new game that just dropped with a price tag of $40. And I've played just about every other FNAF game out there, and I put 13 plus hours into one playthrough of the Mimic, not by choice, but because of the amount of bugs, the insane...
So they played the game for bugs, not for enjoyment?
Enemy pathing, and trying to dig through the lore of this game itself.
Wait, what?
But because of the amount of bugs there, and I put 13 plus hours into one playthrough of the Mimic, not by choice, but because of the amount of bugs, the insane enemy pathing, and trying to dig through the lore of this game itself.
Oh, so they played one walkthrough or one playthrough of the game for 13 hours in order to look for bugs? Oh no, because they had so many bugs. I think that's what they're saying.
And that's what this video is about. The lore, it's pretty solid. The gameplay, not so much, and we're going to dig into that more. In FNAF, The Secret of the Mimic, we play as
The Secret of the Mimic. That's gonna annoy me. I feel like it's just Secret of the Mimic. FNAF Secret of the Mimic, not The Secret. Although you are sort of looking for The Secret of the Mimic. But I mean,
the tech named Arnold. He just finished a brutal 36-hour shift and is headed home when Dispatch reroutes him to the MCM factory to retrieve some blueprints. Dispatch mentions that they have sensors inside the building that detect movement, but tells us not to worry about it. Every time we complete an...
Okay, that sounds about right. I guess that's just like the synopsis for the start of the game, or what we're told at the start. Just retrieve the blueprints for the Mimic and just go in, get out.
Objective in the game, we need to return back to the central security room to log our progress and get more tasks and lore from Dispatch. We find out that there's other techs that were sent before us, and none of them came back. But instead of locking down the area and calling the cops to secure the facility, they just keep sending people in.
Okay, I don't. They said they. Well, I mean, Fazbear Entertainment would definitely not call the cops if they had, like, what? Why would they call the cops? No, no. This is Fazbear Entertainment. They're used to sending people in to retrieve stuff and risking their lives. I mean, if you called the cops would probably have just come, seized the area, and they would probably look into Fazbear Entertainment and be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And probably sue Fazbear Entertainment or some sort of just like get rid of them somehow or some sort. I think what this person, well, they said they looked at the law. Well, I mean, the law is that it's MCM was already retrieved or seized by Fazbear Entertainment, so they already own it. So they're just sending people in order to retrieve the stuff because they don't want like people knowing that they have some sort of, I guess, killer robot inside. And that's why we're trying to retrieve it, because they want it for themselves, and if they call the cops would probably just take it and look into Fazbear Entertainment, which is definitely not what they want, I don't think.
So that's why we're here. And because they keep sending people in, it turns out the real threat is a homicidal robot that can mimic any costume that it enters. So it could be a cat, it could be an elephant, it sounds just like them, it's crazy, but it's pretty cool. And
yeah, I agree. It is pretty cool. Yeah, the Mimic is cool. I think the actual concept for it was really great. I think I sort of mentioned it in one of my past videos, but yeah, I thought the actual concept of, bunch of costumes around, really cool, and any of them can just turn on. That's really creepy, really cool. So I thought the whole concept of the game was actually really good.
And yeah, we gotta avoid all costumes in the warehouse. And for some brilliant reason, the owner thought it was a good idea to create at least 50 copies of each animatronic and just have them laying around in the factory. Unless the Mimic actually placed all these costumes in every which direction and built more of them. But
I don't really get that point. I mean, I would see why Edwin would build a bunch of them because so he could sell more of them. I mean, like the whole point of the factory is to make costumes. I mean, that is the whole point of Murray's costume manor, to sell them to the public. If you just had one costume for an elephant and you just sold it, then you don't have any more elephants. Well, surely the elephants were a good seller. It's like me having like, for example, if I had like a company where I sold pens and I only had one packet of pens. I only have one pack of pens on sale, and someone buys the pens. I have no more pens to sell. Obviously, you probably have more costumes. I mean, I think the argument saying you don't have, I think the argument of him trying to say, hey, there are too many costumes around isn't really valid since it's a costume factory. They're making costumes because that's their job. That's what the factory is for. So I don't really, I guess, see where they're coming from, so to speak.
But I don't know about that one. Our mission in the game is to recover data, nothing else. That is until we find more lore about the game. We discover different things that kind of sway our mind, and we can make a decision towards the middle end of the game to either help dispatch or try to solve all the problems on our own. And that's when we face the mimic, when we decide to solve all the stuff on our own. Alright, that's it for this game synopsis, and that's really all you need to know to understand.
I guess they're sort of right, but at the same time, the end is, I guess, you're either helping dispatch or you're not helping dispatch, but dispatch is really the mimic trying to trick you into giving them the data driver. So I guess they're sort of
What's
right
going on in
there.
this game. Now onto why this game shouldn't be worth $40 just because it's titled FNAF. At most, this game should have been a $15 to $20 game. I'll start off by saying that
Well, I will say though the game does feel a bit expensive, but I guess I mean at some point games are just gonna go up, especially FNAF. I mean it's a very well-known franchise, and I can see them, upping the prices more and more. But I will say, yeah, it's a bit expensive, but considering it's a really big game and there's a lot you can do in it, I would say the price is probably pretty reasonable for what it's worth.
the enemies' designs are genuinely great. They're creepy, detailed, unique, especially considering you're in a warehouse that isn't some rundown dump for once. Here's the problem. These animatronics are Olympic
What? Wait,
isn't some rundown dump for once.
what do
Here's
you mean by for once? For once? Well, I guess run down dump for once. I don't think any of the other sites were really run down. I mean, Security Breach, the Pizzaplex was still running. I guess Ruin, maybe. Ruin DLC, I guess there were some bits that were run down. I don't think many of the actual FNAF games were in a rundown place, purely because it was still running, which is why you're the security guard in like the first couple games. 4, you're in a home. I mean, home is not really run down, but we'll just carry
the
on.
problem. These animatronics are Olympic sprinters. You can't outrun them. This game wants you to sneak around, but their pathing is so aggressive it defeats the point of just sneaking around the game.
You can sneak around them. That's why they put the rats or like the mice as distractions. There's also the distraction song, which you just click and then you have the lockers around. No?
Because they can see you a mile away.
Not really. Well, not from what I've seen. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were able to sneak past them unless their game was bugged here, so don't really know about that.
And they'll just full on sprint straight toward you, bulldozing everything in their path. They spot you from a ridiculous distance.
Well, I mean, you just stood right in front of them as they turned on. You could have run away, but
And instantly go into sprinting mode, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. If you stop at all momentarily and release sprint or even toggle sprint or anything like that, like any stopping
I mean, I think he sort of walked into that one here. I don't know.
your movement resets your speed back down to 0, and they catch you, and it is
Well, you just stared at them for like 3 seconds here.
so annoying. The enemy's line of sight is like totally ridiculous. It's absurd. Even if they're a floor above you or even below you, they'll beeline straight to you. It feels like there's an invisible alert bubble around them that you get too close to them and you're
Well, I mean, here, I think he was just behind you, so...
screwed, you get caught. And don't get me started on a nurse. In her own chase sequence, she waits for you to trigger her and then she just ends your life. In the final chase sequence for the nurse, like, she stays in her one room, at least she did for me, for over 40 minutes. She would not move, she would not leave, and she would constantly chase me down the moment I went into her zone of influence. And nothing I did.
Pretty sure you're meant to walk past that room, no? Back here? You go past the room with the chains and just sneak
Could
past.
let me beat her. I physically had to cheat and slow her down to 0.2% of her movement speed just to bypass that zone because I couldn't do it any other way.
That's
I
because
don't
you're
know
meant
if
to
it was the
duck under
game
the
or if it was
chains, no?
me or it was a
Or the
mixture
chains make the sounds that alert her.
of both, but that was infuriating. Blockers, those things are useless. You can hide, but the enemy can come within 10 feet, you're dead. They pull you out of the lockers. I don't think that's supposed to be a function. They just do it because
Pretty
it's a mimic
sure if they see you go into the locker, they know you're in the locker. That's why they come and kill
and
you.
it's an AI and it's evolving in this game. One thing I was looking forward to was the chase sequence because in other FNAF games you can look behind you and watch them chase you, but any momentary delay in any chase sequence in this game, you just lose. You can't stop running. You can't look and enjoy the game. You have
Well, I mean, you can enjoy the game if you just look and then die for a couple. What I've seen some YouTubers do, they just like allow themselves to get killed once just to look at like the jump scare, just look at the chase, just look how cool they are, and then the next time they just keep running. I mean, you don't have to look and try to survive in the same like run through. Like if you're speedrunning, then you just run past everything. But if you're trying to enjoy the game, you can enjoy the game by, feeling the jump scare, I guess getting to know stuff, not like you don't have to try to survive, look at everything. It's like if you were running from like a creepy monster out in the dark, like you're not gonna spend time looking at them. In reality, you're gonna be running. But if you want to enjoy the game, you can spend one through, look at them, die, and then next time you just go straight through. I mean, I think that's how most people play the game.
have to just you just have to go. You can't stop, you can't backtrack, otherwise you lose. During the final Mimic boss battle in the remake of FNAF 1, the Mimic got stuck on the Foxy statue and was completely soft locked. The Mimic isn't programmed to walk backwards, but it can only turn left or right before walking forwards again. And the
I think this one was just a bug. I mean, it's probably rare. They just walked into that somehow.
Foxy's propped hitbox was just big enough that it trapped the Mimic. It made the boss fight negligible. It wasn't even remotely threatening. And this was after 15 failed attempts where the Mimic would just charge at me no matter how well I hit and just chase me down, throw me out of the lockers, and just pummel me to the ground.
I guess that would be kind of like every speedrunner's dream to have the mimic soft locked. But I mean, people have already found a way to speedrun in less than 4 minutes just by like glitching the game at the start, which is like, I mean, the welcome show was like, I don't know, half of the speedrunning time.
Let's talk about going out of bounds. If you manage to break the map a bit or just use a program like I did, you'll see that assets only load after hitting specific triggers. Going out of bounds is fine for speedrunners, but with how many assets are scattered about outside the playable area, it actually causes some noticeable lag in the game itself. I understand that everything in this map is basically stacked on top of itself since it's a 2-floor warehouse. If they load every room and every asset to one, it would all just visually overlap and just be an ugly mess. So I get the PNG file, but it's lazy. It's
No. It would be really laggy if they loaded everything in. I mean, they already did like the curved like 2D pictures, which I guess they look nice. They look nice. I mean, it's it's not lazy. It's well thought. I mean, chances are they've probably thought about it already, but then they realized, hey, it was too laggy if you load like hundreds of assets into a room through a window that you're not going to go in. So just put PNG. It saves lag, probably just better gameplay experience wise.
bad and it doesn't look good for this game. With everything they have around 30 different games, be it main series, spin-offs, expansions, but honestly, they're here to make a buck. I get it, but this game could have been $20. Like, this looks really bad. It's just not good.
I thought the visuals were actually really good in this game. I don't know. Like, they even said the costumes were well designed. I mean, the map is well designed. Just look at this. Like, the whole atmosphere is it really good. I mean, you got like,
And look, if you look above right here, you could have had a little skybox of just the vent area itself, and that would have been fine. But no. Going on to the ambiance of this game, vent sounds are totally disconnected from the rest of the game. Entire zones go silent until you backtrack into previous areas. One of the worst examples of this is the executive hallway or shortcut area. Just walking through the space can trigger 4 different zones and 4 completely different sound layers.
I'm pretty sure that's just a bug. I mean, like, bugs happen in games, and I don't think, and it's just a sound bug as well. Like, it's not something to just say it's a badly made game. I mean, you can see they've put a lot of effort into it, and you can see that game's really good. I mean, like, pointing out like small bugs or just some bugs does not necessarily mean the game's terrible.
It's jarring, inconsistent, and breaks the immersion every single time I go through it. The puzzles in this game are a refreshing change of pace from the chaos of the enemy encounters, but interacting with objects and just puzzles in general was surprisingly janky in execution. Puzzles were a nice change, but this game clearly feels like it was made for VR. Almost every interaction forces you to spin or twist the mouse like you're using a VR controller. On a mouse and keyboard, it's janky. Maybe on a controller it would have worked fine. As an example, there's a pipe spinning puzzle where it's too easy to overcorrect, and in time sensitive situations where you're fighting the Taskmaster, you'll just lose
Taskmaster? What? Oh, Ticketmaster. Oh, Music Man.
and die. One thing this game did constantly for me is crash, and I mean a lot. Load into a new zone that deloads the previous
I mean, it would probably crash more if he had like the objects through the window, not gonna lie.
one, crash. Respawn after dying to a boss or a puzzle, it crashes. I beat the game, it crashes. It was like the game didn't know how to handle its own transitions or checkpoints because there's so much stuff loaded in. All in all, FNAF The Secret of the Mimic had potential, especially for tying up the lore and connecting theories. The narrative foundation is strong, and I can appreciate the attempt at building a deeper lore connection, but almost everything else falls short of that effort. Technical aspect, it's 4 out of 10. We got constant crashes, asset loading issues, lag, sound boundary problems.
Yeah, as I sort of said, the lag probably would have been worse if you're loading stuff in through the windows.
And the enemies soft locking themselves makes this a technical mess.
And I think the soft lock with the enemy is just like a really rare thing that happened to you. I don't necessarily think it's like well, it's sort of game breaking, but I think, as they sort of said, they want to experience then just rejoin, I guess, or like reload the thing.
Gameplay, 5 out of 10. There are solid horror elements and some creative enemy designs, but the broken AI, frustrating stealth mechanics, and janky interactions just kill the pacing for me. Narrative's 8 out of 10. If you're in it purely for lore, this game gives you what you want. It does a decent job at tying pieces together and setting up the next phase of the story. Presentation, I give it 6 out of 10. The animatronic designs are great, but the reused 2D PNG renders, overlapping sound zones, and lack of polish bring the visual and audio experience way down for me. And finally, I'm lumping everything else that I couldn't really categorize into the other category, and I'm giving that a 3 out of 10. That
What other? What's other?
includes the lack of a jump mechanic, which limits our mobilities in ways
Well, I mean, not all games have jumps. I mean, it's just how they wanted to make the game, no?
that are definitely intentional just to keep us from exploring and going out of bounds. But again, that's the fun part of these horror mascot games, is going out of bounds because it's so janky.
Not really.
On top of that, hard zone boundaries that constantly break your immersion for sound effects, and that it causes inconsistent interactions throughout the map, which is very weird. Also, that's what I think caused my game to crash so many times. Accessibility and control customizations also feel like an afterthought, especially for
Pretty sure you can turn down the graphics in the settings, no? I thought you could.
keyboard users, because this game, again, I'm 100% sure they meant it for VR and everything else was an afterthought. I could try with the controller in New Game Plus and see how it is, but right now, this is how I feel about the game. At the end of the day, this game feels more like a $15, $20 release than a polished $40 game title. It's carried entirely by its lore and fan service, but everything else drags it down. Broken AI, janky mechanics, constantly crashing, a design that feels rushed, else drags it down. Broken AI, janky mechanics, constantly crashing, a design that feels rushed. If you're a hardcore FNAF fan looking to piece together theories, yeah, this might be for
They
you.
just
But
pointed
for
out
everyone
four
else,
things.
I'd
I was just counting how many things they mentioned just now. They just counted 4 things.
For a hardcore FNAF fan looking to piece together theories, yeah, this might be for you. But for everyone else, I'd wait for it to be on sale or skip it entirely or just watch someone on YouTube play it, because honestly, this game is full of jank. I'd wait for some patches before.
Full jank is a very overstatement, I think. Honestly, I thought it was really
Buying
well
it.
made.
But yeah, that's my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and comment does help, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Okay, what I will say, I don't agree with every point they've made. I agree with some things, like I think them talking about they said some positive stuff about the game near the beginning, but then I think like in the middle of it they sort of just yapped about the negative aspects of the game or the negative things that happen to them individually. Um, overall, I don't think I've seen any of the bugs like outside of this video that they've mentioned. Like going out of bounds, I think they said going out of the bounds is part of a horror experience, and I don't really know what they meant by that. But obviously this guy didn't really have a great experience playing the game, playing it, The Secret of the Mimic. Man. Well, yeah, I'll leave a link of this video in the description. This is by Modwalker. Shout out to them, I guess. Link in the description. Personally, I'll just leave my thoughts in just here. I thought the game was really good. The whole aspect of the mimic being able to go into any costume was really great. The lore, the narrative, I thought was really great. They said it was pretty decent here. Gameplay, I thought was actually pretty good. I've never seen those sort of power puzzles before, so I thought it was really unique. I thought the game had a good, like, solid, I guess, progression. Like, your goal is to upgrade your data driver. That was pretty well and, like, clearly made to us. Um, just go back and see the ratings back here. Yeah. Technical aspect, I guess that was them talking about the game breaking. I think they really only showed like 2 or 3 instances of the game breaking. Like one of them was actually it was just there was just one bit of the game breaking, no? Oh, well, there was the sound one, but I guess that was part of the presentation they rated. But then the only other thing was well, what they said was the AI. I guess the only game breaking thing was the mimic getting stuck. I don't really know, but honestly, it was a pretty short, I guess, video as well. I don't really know. Let's see what the comments say. I see a lot of people are disagreeing, and I have to agree with them. Your synopsis of the game makes me think you weren't really paying attention. At least you're unintentionally making things sound worse than they are. Um, your comment on the costumes laying around is a little wild when you remember this is a costume manor, a warehouse that makes and stores these suits. So, oh my gosh, they wrote a whole lot. Okay. Obviously, I can't read all this. Okay, but I think a lot of people are disagreeing with this video. Me, sort of, maybe, I don't really know. Um, Again, you can watch it for yourselves again, but I'm probably gonna end this here. So if you enjoyed today's video, do consider liking and subscribing. And as always, this is Coscons blasting off, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.